So these people are showing up and they're going to support this gold-backed system because most of the gold right now is in the hands of China, Russia, India, probably Saudi Arabia.
What you're trying to avoid is that experience in life. We've all had it when you look back a few years later and think, darn, that should have been so obvious to me. Are we going to do that 2 years from now when we're sitting with a gold-backed currency being used by most of the world? What do you think that's going to do for the price of gold? What about the price of silver? I've got a clip I'm going to play from you from a retired Army colonel where he talks directly about the world moving to a gold-backed currency. And I don't know if you've heard of this organization, but there's a powerful organization, not BRICS, called ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Includes some big countries like Thailand, Vietnam, and a host of others. They also just came out with a major proclamation to move away from the U.S. dollar. What do you think that will do for the gold price and silver price? I think you're going to love this Colonel Douglas McGregor. He's going to talk about gold-backed currencies, but while he's doing that, I want you to think about the big picture, the context. The BRICS countries are huge, they're growing, and not only are they growing in number, but their economies are amongst the fastest growing in the world. When they move to a gold-backed currency, that will send shockwaves through the precious metals markets. This clip was from a channel called Redacted, which has some awesome content. Now let's hear from the retired colonel.
Remember something else, too. This war is now becoming a financial war. You have the St. Petersburg Forum next week or next month in June. They're expecting 81 nations to come in there. The purpose of this forum is to consolidate support for the emergence of new currency in the non-Western world. In other words, getting out from under the U.S. financial system. And everyone is showing up and they're going to be told, listen, get out of your current U.S. holdings. And what are these countries holding? They're holding U.S. treasuries. All of those treasuries were bought when the interest rates were very low. Now the interest rates are going very high. So those holdings are toxic. It's the same problem we have with our domestic banking system. So these people are showing up and they're going to support this gold-backed system because most of the gold right now is in the hands of China, Russia, India, probably Saudi Arabia. I don't know how much gold is under the streets of London anymore. I don't know how much gold is really in New York City under the streets in Manhattan. We just don't know. But we're talking about gold-based transactions becoming the norm. Where does that leave us? We're entirely fiat currency. We're not prepared to go to gold-backed currency.
No, in fact, we're going the opposite. We're going to a central bank digital currency, even worse.
Yeah, exactly. So this is kind of a financial war.
So what do you think that means for the silver price and gold price 2 years from now, when you're looking back to right now? I think it means much, much higher prices. Hey, you don't have to be a colonel to join me here in Ron's basement. You don't even have to be a sarge or a private. When you're with me here in the basement, you're the general. You're a 5-star general, if that even exists. Nonetheless, thanks for joining me here. Please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Now let's move on to the ASEAN organization and what they recently said, because that's another huge part of the world, and they came out with a proclamation saying that they want to move away from using the U.S. dollar for trade and financial transactions between the countries. This goes right in with the massive de-dollarization move that we're seeing going on in the world right now. A lot of you have been contacting me very concerned about something. What happened to the silver bear? And I want you to rest assured the silver bear is right there, Smitty the silver bear. I had to move him off the ping pong table because my daughter Evelyn has suddenly become obsessed with playing ping pong. And you know those situations where you look back and you think, man, I should have done something different. Well, she started this about 4 days ago, and the first time we played, I whipped her really good, 11-0. And when I went upstairs, I thought, what are you doing? You got to let her win. So I'm proud to report that since then, her record against me is 4-0. And don't forget, Smitty the silver bear, he's safe. His blindfold comes off at $85 silver. This is from the ASEAN Briefing newspaper. I'm sure you read that every day. But just in case you haven't read this, I want to share with you this de-dollarization move. And don't forget, it's going to wind up being rocket fuel for our good friends silver and gold. At their 42nd annual summit, the members signed an agreement to push for better regional payment connectivity and the use of local currency transactions. The move is seen as the bloc's strategy to transition away from established currencies used for trade, such as the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar has been king for global trade for decades. This is not only because the U.S. is the world's largest economy, for now, but also because oil and most commodities are priced in U.S. dollars. And guys, what do we know is going on with oil, right? When they stopped backing the dollar with gold, temporarily, President Nixon did that in 1971, temporarily, 15 years now, but temporarily, they basically backed the dollar with oil, right? That is falling apart. That's called the petrodollar. If you haven't learned about that, it's fascinating. It's allowed the United States to rack up all this debt over the last 50 years, but now the Middle East countries, obviously China, Russia, the BRICS countries, they too are moving away from using the dollar for settlement of oil. Things are changing around us at a pace like we've not seen during most of our lifetimes. First Mining Gold is a development company advancing two of the largest gold projects in Canada, Springpole in Ontario and Duparquet located in Quebec. Each already has 5 million ounces of gold reserves, but exploration initiatives are underway at both projects to find even more gold. First Mining is well-financed, has zero debt, and owns an interest in 4 additional Canadian gold development projects. I bet you're wondering who these ASEAN countries are. Here's just a few: Thailand, Singapore, Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Indonesia all have rapidly growing economies and moving away from the dollar, which is going to be good for our good friends, the gold price and the silver price. All of this is going on when most Americans, most people in the developed Western economies are living in la-la land. They're like they're living at the end of a debt-fueled spending spree, right? Nobody really wants to care about the fact that we're dealing with massive deficits every year that's adding to a massive debt pile. Things are hurling towards a not good solution, but you and I, we got our heads pulled out of the sand, right? We're at least looking around. We're likely one step ahead of 95% of the other people out there. What do you think about what Peter Schiff recently said? Number one, he said we're heading towards a second Great Depression. But what he said that I thought was really brilliant was all this current talk about a debt limit crisis, raising the debt limit, that it's a crisis, that we have to do it. That the real crisis is the fact that we have raised the debt limit so many times over the years, resulting in this untenable debt level that we have at a government level. But heck, there's debt everywhere anyway. Almost $305 trillion of debt in the world right now. And it's snowballing, hurling towards a not pleasant ending. Hey, we want to look back in a couple years and hopefully feel like we made some smart decisions to protect ourselves and protect our families. We keep our head out of the sand. We're looking around. It's not always fun. It's not always fun to look at these challenging subjects, not real positive stuff. But we can remain positive because we know that we are making moves to protect ourselves and our family. Watch another video if you would. Don't forget, please give this one a thumbs up, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next time here in the basement.